This is Umar for BoxNation in association with Global Next Trade, coming off one of the most dramatic sporting moments. That's what we labelled it. And as we look back at it, that is exactly what it was at Portman Road. Just give me your reflections, please, Frank.
Well, it was a very, very exciting fight. Fabio was behind, and Justis, who boxed extremely well, was well in front. I think I gave, first and third round, maybe one other round to Fabio, but he was well in front. And it turned out, as they said it would, at the press conference, both of them. Justis said he was coming there, going to rely on his boxing ability, and he was going to outbox him, which is what he was doing. And Fabio said, it only takes me a split second to change a fight and turn a fight round. And that's what he did. Bloody exciting. It was an exciting night. The fans loved it. I mean, the weather was crap, but I think everybody's still engaged in what it was. And I mean, that was a sensational knockout. He absolutely turned the fight round and kept his career and his undefeated record going.
I think what was the most impressive and also shocking thing about what happened on Saturday night. Look, we've seen Fabio wipe out everyone. I know he went the distance with Fraser in the first fight, but then in the rematch completely iced him. So we know he's a devastating puncher. He carries phenomenal power. But these knockouts that he's produced before, he's always been on top. And the first Fraser Clark fight, where there was a lot of back and forth, obviously that went the distance. This was a different scenario for him. He was essentially getting battered in that fight and still managed to pull it out. That was the most sort of impressive thing about it.
Well, he boxed well, Justice. He boxed the plan. His team prepared and did what they did well. Remember, he came in as he wasn't our original choice opponent. But having said that, Fabio had plenty of time to get ready for him. It wasn't like it was done at a week or 2 weeks' notice. He had, I think it was about 4 or 5 weeks when Babe Miller pulled out. But that happens in fights. Styles, as they say, make fights. Styles can gel or not gel. And, Justis used all his boxing acumen, which he's got stacks of. I know he's had, 12 pro fights, but he's got a wealth of amateur experience, and you could see that. And at the top level. But, Fabio is a true fighting man. He's a warrior, four white collar fights, which, are what they are. But he's learned on the job. He's 19 fights, 20 fights now he's had. That's his boxing. That's his boxing experience. That's all he's had. So he done fabulously well, and I genuinely was pleased for him. And Justis, who's a lovely guy, by the way, really nice fella there, but real good guy. He came and he boxed superbly until he got clipped. But Fabio just wasn't letting that right hand go early in the fight. I mean, a couple of times I made myself a little bit busy getting up and, going to the corner. I shouldn't do that, but I'll get carried away sometimes. And I got up and I was saying to him, you've got to let that right hand go. I could see that he could catch him with the right hand. It was the shot. And that's what he did. And his jab at times wasn't as good as it could be. It was pouring a few times of it, jabbing the body, but not emphatic enough. But look, you have when you don't box as well as you should do or you can do, and you still win, and you win in sensational style like that. That says a lot about you.
Frank, I know you were saying, let the right hand go, and I was sitting right behind you and I could hear you say that, although really all I could hear throughout the fight was probably Eddie. Obviously, because his man was doing unbelievably well. I know you say let the right hand go, but do you think that's perhaps why Justis got a little bit careless in that moment? Because Fabio wasn't throwing it before recklessly, so Justis probably in his mind, wasn't even thinking about it, and then boom, he actually threw one and caught him off guard.
Well, he countered, didn't he? He threw the shot. It was a cracking shot. I don't know, look, if he caught him in the first round, the end of that first round, he caught and he wobbled. His legs stiffened up a bit as he went back to the corner, Justis. But he came out and he's okay. In the third round, he caught him a few times in the third round. But, so did Justis catch Fabio. Fabio, he took some solid shots. some real solid shots. I didn't like to see him doing that, but he did. Um, and as the fight was going on, he was getting more and more confident. Justice, he felt he was there, and as was Eddie and Spencer.
Yeah, the shots that Justice was landing, sometimes in twos and threes to the body, to the head, and a lot of them, I've got to say, Fabio's hands were down and they were kind of unanswered shots.
Yeah, he
As
never
that,
had his hands up, and he was putting good combinations together. I mean, all that. We sat there, we watched it, we see it. But
Frank, what I was going to say, as that was going on, and you're getting into 7, 8, and he's looking even more dominant. Did you think perhaps that Ben or Robert at the corner should throw the towel in at one point?
no, no, because he's that type of fighter. He can turn the fight around. He wasn't badly hurt or anything. He was getting caught. But what happens sometimes when it's a funny thing. It wasn't like he was winding himself up looking to throw that punch. He just wasn't getting off. His jab wasn't very, it was a bit floppy. It wasn't a very, it wasn't a real, dominant punch. He wasn't, what I know he's capable of doing. But he just, when he let it go, and he did let it go, you see what he done? He sort of slips to his left and bowls it over. It's not like a straight right. He bowls it over and he catches him, and the power was, and he just went bang, and he just went straight down. You got, when you're in fights like that, you've seen fighters, sometimes the round become repetitive. The same thing keeps happening because someone's winding themselves up, looking to let it go. When I like to see a fighter work behind their jab, get their timing, keep their composure. He wasn't doing that, but he wasn't winding himself, and he wasn't letting that right hand go. And at one stage, I thought maybe there's something wrong with his hand. But when he did let it go, and when I went to the corner, I mean, not that he needs me to tell him, or the corner needs me. So I said, you ain't going to win this. This fella's won this on points. You've got a couple of rounds to go. Even if you win those 2 rounds, you ain't won this fight. You have to knock him out. Let that shot go. Let it go. You're catching with it. If you let it go, you're catching with it. And that's what he did.
Right, I remember watching a fight in Vegas. It was the rematch between Wilder and Luis Ortiz. And I think it was the 7th round Wilder got the stoppage. But up until then, Luis Ortiz had literally won every second of the fight, every round. And then Wilder managed to get in a situation where he could let his right hand go, and the fight was over. He is
Yeah.
now starting to be actually compared with Deontay Wilder. Can you see that?
Yeah, of course I can. But Deontay Wilder remained world champion for 6 years. He was world champion for 6 years. So it worked for 6 years.
Hmm. Oh, that's what I'm saying it in a positive way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a massive
It's there. I
compliment
mean,
to him.
but he's got, he's a very bright man, Fabio. He's a very, very, he's very articulate. He's a bright guy, and he learns. You look at that first fight he had with Frazier Clark, which it was a draw, but I got to be honest, I thought he won it. But irrespective of that, he learned from it. The second fight, he just put his plan into place and done what he had to do.
Hmm.
If he fought
Sorry.
if he fought him again, it would be a different fight.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Obviously, Frank, the turnout was remarkable for him, even in the rain. But to go into the ring under that pressure, the whole build-up was about, his club, his fans, selling out Portman Road. Then to be getting, pummeled by someone who well could win a world title in Justis Huni one day, a top class fighter, and then to pull that out the bag when everyone was pretty much silent at one point because it was one-way traffic. I mean, the pressure, the way he handled it was remarkable as well.
It was, and he's a fight. You got to remember, we just said about what he's done as he's a bit, his experience as an amateur and so forth, which is non-existent. But what you can't take away from him is he's fighting hard. He's a natural fighting man. He's a fighting man. That's what he is, and he showed that. And he's a competitor, and he's a dangerous sod. He could do that to anybody if he catches him.
Yeah, it's just not the power as well. It's actually his ability to, and I know you don't want to see him do that, but of course his durability and his ability to take shots.
Yeah, well, you don't want to see it. Of course, you don't want to see it. I don't like that at all. I really don't like that.
Frank, have they lodged an appeal then, Team Huni,
I've got no idea. What would they lodge an appeal for?
that the count was incorrect, too quick?
Look, let me just say, I'm not going to take, that he's a lovely guy and I've got a lot of respect for him, but that's a nonsense. At the end of the day, when that referee stopped the fight, the one person who never complained about that stoppage was Justice. He never complained at all.
Hmm.
Watch it back.
Regardless of that, though, and I do agree with you because Fabio's a devastating finisher, and if that fight had carried on, that could have been very dangerous. If have you watched it back? Do you think the count
Yeah.
was too quick?
No, I don't. I think the referee did what he had to do, and had he allowed it to go on, all you would have done was delayed the inevitable. He's in with a guy who is a devastated finisher. You've seen that. What would have happened? He was up. He weren't on he was on shaky legs, and if he'd have clipped him again, it'd have been knocked spark out.
Okay, so you have no idea whether there are
No,
talks going
I
on.
have no idea, and I doubt very much if that'll go anywhere anyway.
Okay. Well, someone that is going places is Fabio, of course, he's WBA interim champion. Now, from what you saw, Frank, look, we know he's devastating at all times. Clearly, he is, and he can beat top class guys because he just did. But what did you learn about perhaps Fabio's level on
Well,
Saturday?
learn about him.
Yeah,
He beat a guy who's ranked in the who was ranked in the top 10, and showed that he's. Look, I've seen guys have bad nights and in fights where they're behind and come through and do that and do it in style. But he done it in style. He's an unbelievable competitor. As I said, was it 18 or 19 opponents out his 20 fights all out? Only one guy's gone the distance with him. That's
and
what
then
he is. That's what he is. He's a KO merchant.
I guess the question is more too: is he ready for a Dubois, an Usyk, a Parker? Is what I'm saying.
He's going to fight again when he's obviously him and his partner having a baby at the moment,
Yeah.
and or pretty imminently. So they're going to have more than have their hands full, or he's going to more than have his hands full. And then after that, he'll make a decision when he wants to fight again, and he'll have another fight this year, without a doubt.
Would you look at doing another fight at Portman Road for him or not?
Yeah, it depends. Obviously, the football season will be on, but it depends. If we can, we would do it.
Okay. But okay, so would you say he's just below maybe that group I just mentioned, your Usyk, Dubois, Parker?
Yeah. I mean, they've got a big. We've got a big fight on the 19th, and as I've said from the beginning, or on plenty of occasions recently, that will determine what happens with all these mandatories, with these interim champions, these mandatory defenses. When the four belts are fought for and the winner comes away from that, then they're going to be told by the governing bodies, right, let's get on with the mandatories. And the first one will be the BO title.
Frank, I know he's not your fighter, which is very, very rare to say in the heavyweight division. But Justis Huni obviously put in a great performance, comes away with a lot of credit. What do you think he can do in the sport?
Look, you'd have him back on the show every day of the week. As I said, really nice people to work with. He can fight. He's got fast hands. There's lots of fights that we could make here. We got, as you say, we got a lot of heavyweights. You'd certainly welcome him again, wouldn't you? He's a competitor. He wasn't phased by going into the lion's den, was he?
No, he wasn't for sure. Just talk to me about the celebration straight after and the emotion.
Yeah, because it was so dramatic, wasn't it? It was so exciting, and yeah, we all got. I think all the Wardley team got more than carried away.
Yeah, even Moses.
Yeah, I mean, it was great, but it's nice when when everybody gets behind and they support each other. I love that.
Eddie must have felt a little bit alone, him and Spencer in that front row at that point.
Look, that's boxing, and that's what it's all. That happens in boxing, and uh, we've all been there over the years. It's one of those things.
Did you have a nice drive down the A12?
Did I? I did have a nice drive. I was watching the fight back on my way down. I watched it back, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Of course, I enjoyed the moment. Well, I'd hardly be telling the truth if I were to say any different. It was great, and I was pleased for Fabio and his team.
Certainly, it was a fantastic night at Ipswich. Just before we close off, just want to pick a few things out from the undercard, Frank. Pierce O'Leary v Liam Dillon. It was a bit of a war at times. What did you think about Pierce's performance?
It was a great fight again, very competitive fight. Taking the hat to Liam. Liam came he was a competitor, wasn't he? He came to fight. I thought Pierce was pretty much, although it was a competitive fight, and it was competitive, I thought Pierce was just, that more in control of the fight and done extremely well. And he's got himself now, he's up to, I think he's 16-0 now. So, he's not far off of getting a world title fight.
And a big homecoming in Dublin.
Yeah, that's what we're working on. But he done extremely well, and he was not, as I say, Liam Dillon was no disgrace either. Real good competitor. Takes two to make a good fight.
Lewis Richardson had his pro debut. Thoughts on his performance, Frank?
I thought he boxed extremely well. He's very he's very classy operator. Got lots of good moves. You can see he's going to be a brilliant addition to the scene, and he'll get better and better. He's got a good boxing brain.
Mike Perez had a good stoppage win over Stephen Ward. I know obviously he's managed by Michael Offer and Dillian White. So yeah, you might have him out in a big fight soon as well, I'm guessing, Frank.
Yeah, he done well, didn't he? I mean, he did well, and he's a powerful sod. I spoke to him afterwards. I mean, maybe him and Opataya, that'd be a good fight, wouldn't it?
That would be interesting. Yeah, definitely. Sam Gilly picked up a draw, Frank. Very disappointing for him. What did you think?
He was disappointed. I spoke to him after. He was very disappointed, but I think he was frustrated. That fight was going to be on. Which got his original fight got knocked back. His opponent was injured again, and I think it was a bit of a come down for him. I don't mean that disrespectfully, because I think Gideon, boxed really well, but he knows himself. Well, I say box well. I mean, I think it just didn't pan out as it should have done for Sam. But as I said to Sam, you've done the business. Fight's done. Move on to the next one. Your next one, you've been defending your titles. You've got to be at your best.
Yeah. Well, it was some night at Portman Road. How would you, just before we close off, sum up the experience working with the club for the first time, everyone involved, the staff, the council, security, everyone who put that event on?
Everybody should be proud of themselves. Ipswich Town Football Club were brilliant people to work with. Mark and his team are, they're lovely people, and we had a great experience there, and I hope they did with us. And it was a really good night. I mean, the weather was the weather, but what a fabulous night it was. What a great, exciting, dramatic night. I didn't get any better than that. And everybody stayed right to the end.
Yeah, that's true. Frank, it's just popped into my head. I didn't ask you on Saturday, obviously, because it wasn't the right thing to do with so much emotion, and everything was about Fabio. But that day, obviously, Sky had a show with Boxer in Barnsley. Reports were coming out, strong reports, from the Times and a few other places, that the deal's up. Obviously, we know the deal's up, but the deal won't be renewed between Boxer and Sky. So, yeah, just your thoughts. Did you expect that to happen?
I think a lot of people have been saying that for a while now, haven't they? I mean, you know that as well as I do. I mean, it's not been no secret. I don't know whether they're going to do something with a fight-by-fight basis. I have no idea of that. If they do, they do. The problem you've got with that as a promoter is it doesn't give you the ability to build fighters. If you haven't got a series of dates and when you're looking to bring fighters through, you want to make sure you can plan out what they're doing that particular year. And if you haven't got those dates, then it's a big problem.
Do you think we need Sky Sports in boxing? Or
yes.
Not necessarily?
We need as much out there for our sport on all channels. Of course we do. I've said that all the way through. I can remember going back over the years when we were the sole promoter on Sky, when we were doing their business, and other promoter. Then over the years I've moved. I've been to quite a few channels over the years. But you look at the amount of promoters that have come into this business, had TV deals, and disappeared. There's been a stack of them over the years, a stack of them. So for Boxer now, they've got to see you see where they are and what they can do.
Well, look, at this point, this might change, but at this point, Sky and TNT currently have no boxing offerings. At the moment, it is just DAZN in the UK in terms of major broadcasters. So is that a worry or not?
Well, is it a worry? It depends where where they want to spend their money now. They're going to look at their subscribers are obviously going to want boxing because they've been used to getting boxing, or maybe they might just look at it a different way and say, like, we just take the pay-per-view shows when they come along. I don't know, but it'll be sad that if they don't carry on with boxing.
Okay. Well, listen, it was a fantastic night at Portman Road. The next one is another heavyweight stadium show, live on DAZN, worldwide exclusive, and it's the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Doesn't really get bigger than that, Frank. July 19th.
Well, that's the biggest. I mean, that's the big one, isn't it? That can be a night of glory for Daniel Dubois if he becomes the first Briton to ever win the 4 belts. Be the first one to do that. That would be something special. And he's in with a fighter who's done everything that's been asked of him, from winning the gold medal in the Olympics to being the undefeated cruiserweight champion, unified their belts and done the same in the heavyweight division. He's in with one of the modern day greats, and it's going to be a special night. I really, really feel it's going to be a great fight. I really do. They're both up for it in a big way.
Well, that is July 19th at Wembley Stadium. Frank, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations to obviously Team Wardley and everyone involved with the event on Saturday night. As I said, it was a spectacular one, and we'll speak to you soon.
Look forward to that. Thanks, Umar.
Cheers, Frank.